Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call will show that Steve Germano is absent, but all other 6 members are in attendance. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with any items on the agenda tonight? Okay. How about a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Cindy.
Second?
All those in favor, of course. Just, the 2 sets of meeting minutes. First is our regular board meeting on October 28th. Motion to approve those. Tracy, thank you. Do a second. Paul. Those in favor? Go ahead. Yeah.
Sean Hadley said he spoke on behalf of the finance committee of the county board. Is it true that the budget had been passed at that time? Or isn't it approved?
It's approved after they have the public hearing later this month. And then the commissioners actually approved that in December. So I think from his standpoint, you remember the budget advisory committee, and they had passed along the budget. So
To me, just for the record,
yeah.
That has not been approved.
Right, correct.
So.
Yeah. Yep. Hasn't even gone to public hearing yet. Anything else? We already approved that. So we also have our very short meeting minutes from the special meeting on November 4th, which was an executive session, me with the Maine Municipal Association. Motion to approve that.
Approved.
Okay. Second from memory. All those in favor? Moving on to open session. There's not a public hearing this evening, but we do have an open session for the public. You know, anybody have anything? Our latest YMCA update?
Yeah.
Well, no, I should say our PACC. You are the PAC woman. Oh, the PAC.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yep, here just to give an update.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the meeting between the 2 parties. So we have 2 people from our board and 2 people, well, not from our board, just from our group. And they have 2 people from their board coming and having the attorneys from both sides mediating in the middle. Meeting's at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So hopefully we'll know more after that meeting. As far as the PACC goes, we've been doing a lot of work. Our budget plan was completed last week and we sent that in. We put together a budget that actually looks pretty good and has a positive at the end of the year with it. I've been reaching out to select boards from the 25 towns that I've been able to name that have members and asking them all for some sort of contribution. So I'm going to start attending select board meetings in other towns and just seeing what they can do to help us as well. Using you as like Dover-Foxcroft helps us because all the residents are there. So my story was kind of the story that I'm using to get that through because I live in 1 county, I have business in another county, and then I work in a 3rd county. So I've also reached out to the Somerset County Commissioners and the Penobscot County Commissioners as well to see if we can get funding from them. We're in a very cuspy area, right. So it affects everyone. We had our first board meeting last week of our operations board. We had our first fundraising meeting last week. We have another fundraising meeting on Wednesday this week and a finance committee meeting tomorrow. All those things are going really well. We've got starting tomorrow, we're doing a 24 days of Christmas raffle that local businesses have donated to. So we're gonna be selling raffle tickets for that. Shaw's agreed to let us have some lobby space. The PCIA has allowed us to come and we can sell over there. And then we've got a bunch of people that are just gonna do that out in public. On December 7th, we're doing gift wrapping by donation during the toy drive up at the Legion Hall. So that's another one we've got going on. And yeah, working on a spaghetti dinner too. We're a little bit late for December, we're learning. I'm having a hard time finding space. The Kiwanis is already booked. We're gonna check with the Congo Church tomorrow and also the Commons. Oh yeah, so we've got an office space. I don't know if everybody's seen the banner. That was a pretty good location there. So right on Main Street. Chad Perkins secured us a banner and some signage, so we were able to hang that up and we have a place. And the other day we had probably 10 people stop in just to, hey, what can I do? And just wanted to see what you guys are doing. So still a lot of community support happening.
And money donations have been rolling in.
Donations are still rolling in. Yep, we're just over 50,000 right now. Dr. Stenke has managed to secure $50,000 per year in 5-year pledges. The goal is $100,000 for that he's working on, and something that we want to do that we decided was a pretty important idea. So back in the 80s, like the YMCA was built and it was created, and what we're building now, like, yes, we're building off that foundation, but we're building something totally new. So instead of donors, we're looking at actually having like founders, so families and people that are being part of this are part of this brand new entity that we're building, and these brand new ideas that we're able to bring to the community. So we're really excited about that.
And you've been able to work with Jack on the use of the Morton Avenue?
Yep, so Jack was, yep, he was good with it. Tim has called me a couple times. I'm still waiting on confirmation from my instructors. They had to meet with their classes and figure out what they wanted to do. But yep, everybody's excited about using Morton.
Okay. Questions for Amanda? Oh, good. You know, one step at a time. There's no secret to how that is done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll keep updating and we'll report tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
What are your hours when you're open at the office?
We're not, when I'm uptown, so I've been there most days from like 8 to 2.
Okay.
Yep, and then just picking my kids up. But we are looking for volunteers too to come sit some other hours there just to hang out and keep it open. You're welcome.
Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll close the public comment session. Move on to comments from the select board members who have some thoughts they'd like to. Go ahead.
Manhole covers on East Main. My car hits them every single time. Kind of kitty corner to Raven's Attic. There's one, and then there's another one down on coming off Pleasant Street by the Handy store there. So get something on there before. You can't, you divert, you go in the other lane. It's like a little bit dangerous, or you go up on the lawn.
We'll get those covered. You said there's 2 of them?
Just ride down, you'll hear it. Thank you.
Others from the select board, any thoughts? Emery?
Not East Main Street, manhole covers, but I have noticed the last few weeks that underneath the street, parking traffic lights, Main Street and North Street, there's a pothole forming there, and it's been a couple of weeks now. And I know that's the state, but that's just gonna get worse as we head into winter, and it's right at the intersection. On that same thing, I know it's too late to get them, but I do know that the drains on Main Street, East Main, West Main, South Street, North, the state roads, they've not been cleaned in a couple of years, at least a couple of years. Can you call somebody? I'm sure they won't come this year, but they're all full of leaves, and they have been for, and I know it's state, but.
Yeah, unfortunately, they tend to come up when it's plugged and they're overflowing and causing
Yeah.
a problem, and, you know, they're not as on top of the preventative things, but I can ask if they're on schedule at least, and, you know, maybe next year they plan to be here.
Yeah.
You know.
That's all I ask, that you make noises, because they are full, and then they all overflow, and
Yeah, they haven't done a great job of ditching
yeah,
roads. I mean, I got my street, Route 7, the ditches are actually even with the sidewalk now, but they're no longer ditches,
yeah.
which causes the runoff kind of going to the water. Jack did reach out to them. They're not gonna do anything because they're gonna rebuild that road sometime in the future. So, it's only been waiting for 20 years.
And I hear that. And the only other one is not really an update, Jack, but just how are we for winter with trucks and plow equipment and the grader? Are we all set, ready to go? 'Cause
They were getting things changed over and worked on as we speak, so we're right into that mode.
everything's running, nothing's out of order.
As far as I know, they're not expecting to be down any equipment.
Yep. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, Cindy?
Can't find my notes.
You're talking.
2 things. I was just saying it would be really good to, I think, once a month to have an update from the dam redevelopment committee. I know we usually casually ask Steve what's going on, but I think we should make that part of our routine.
We're looking forward to hearing, the report's supposed to be delivered
End of this month.
end of this month.
End of this month, yeah, so the December meeting might be a good time.
Be a good one to go to. Yeah.
I think the committee would have met before this board meets in December, so.
And then the other thing I was just thinking about, the police department policy regarding the use of body cameras. And I asked about that at our last meeting, and when I read the protection minutes, I didn't see any reference to that. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, we do have a policy for the use of body cams. The way the policy is that depending on the severity of the crime, there, you have to wear them. Depending on the severity of the crime you're investigating, but there's also, you gotta be careful because there's some circumstances where you're not supposed to record, depending on what the crime is, but, I guess what specifically are you looking for?
Oh, I just wondered if it was modeled after a particular suggested policy, or, I'm just curious about it because of my line of work, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty standard policy. Most of our policies currently right now are basically modeled after the main criminal justice academy model policy, but we're currently going through we're revamping all of our policies through Jericho Safety. And the policies, once they're done there, will be more specific to Dover-Foxcroft instead of just kind of a generic catch-all policy. So that we're expecting to have that done probably, if not by the end of the year, then beginning of next year. So we'll have, in a couple months, we'll have basically a complete new set of updated policies that are more current and relevant to Dover.
Thank you.
Just wanted to thank Santa's Owls for making our downtown festive.
Lights are up.
Lights are up. It looks very festive. Now we just need, no, we don't need snow.
Yes.
So now that winter's coming, we had supported that, firewood donation program before. Do we have a status on where it's at, or, with the POC is getting an update? Because I'd like to think that as we're getting cold, people have stuff they want to donate, or we want to make sure this town moves wood for some reason that it goes there.
I don't.
Okay. We should ask.
Yeah, I mean, those are becoming increasingly popular, this story in the local media about that.
Yeah.
A lot of towns are pushing that. So. I've seen people scrounging at the dump.
Right.
I've seen three
Yeah.
signs.
It's a good place to find actually useful.
Yeah. And with winter coming, can we do kind of a media thing between our page and PD, the fire department, on, the right type of tires, stopping distance, making sure car seats are put in correctly, because obviously skating on ice is probably going to happen, and I'd like to see kind of a unified front of us pushing it out for our.
Clean your
people.
windshields.
Keep- Don't scratch the 1-inch hole and go to work. Maybe give it 10 minutes to melt some of the
That's
ice
my
before you hit
biggest
the road.
Or you could walk to work.
Or
Or you can walk to work. Yeah.
There's Steve. So who did the firewood project sit with? Whose work is that you're referencing to?
it came up last year. I think it's a private group that they come to us, right? And they just asked if we could, I guess, have a place to collect it.
I do
People
know.
drop it off.
I know that it's some sort of affiliated with the Commons, but it's a committee it's not the Commons, it's a committee there. I know Elise. Yeah, and I know that they were ready to collect, but I don't know that there's a pile anywhere yet.
Were they looking for outdoor space or indoor space?
I think it was indoor was the more. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I think they were preferably indoor, so it was accessible.
Other comments? I just wanted to have a comment regarding the dam that you brought up. An excellent story in today's Bangor Daily News by Emmett Gardner from the Maine Monitor, who I got to know that he covered our wonderful ongoing dam saga here in Dover-Foxcroft. It looks at the state agency responsible for dam safety, and But we got some problems. You think Dover-Foxcroft? I mean, there's 672, regulated dams in Maine. 160 of them are rated either high or significant hazard dams. We're not in that category as a high or significant hazard. But that puts 160 dams ahead of us in the funding queue. So, and then, you know, the state's utter lack of funding for this. I mean, they have enough money and enough people to inspect the dams, but not enough to fix the dams. So nothing, you know, the can literally just keeps on being kicked down the road. And, yeah, I mean, you know, they don't have any authority to enforce compliance. So, I mean, I guess the good news from our standpoint, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, oh, what happens? What kind of, enforcement are the feds going to take against Dover-Foxcroft if we don't do what they want us to do? And judging by the story, you know, that's not something that they're spending a whole lot of time doing. That doesn't mean that we should ignore it because we're not going to get tap the knuckles down in the future. But you know, it just shows that. And we tend to think that the issue in front of our town is the only one, but it's a statewide issue, probably a national issue, and no easy solution to that.
Well, just in response to that, Tom, I think a couple of times I've asked Representative Perkins about what help he could offer in the legislature toward assisting us with our project. And I think we should continue to ask that. And Senator Garin as well. I don't think that's anything they've championed.
Yeah. Well, the story points out that there's the state doesn't actually provide any money for its own dam safety department, which has only 2 people in it.
That's why I'm suggesting
Yeah,
the
I mean,
legislature could act.
and especially with you know, the changing weather patterns we're seeing, which are highly erratic. I mean, last year at this time we were seeing lots of rain. Now we're in a drought situation. So the drought is very noticeable down in Massachusetts. It's historic, the driest year since 1914. Reading across the globe. So anyhow, we're not alone, but there's not a whole lot of solutions really there.
Like those of you that are on the dam committee, if that come up, that we would talk to our state senator and House member.
Yeah, it's all in the early stages of, you know, making connections, forming the plan to make the connections. And whatever.
Ed came to a meeting
Yeah,
a month or so ago, he came and talked about some of the conversations that he had.
he gave a list of people to talk to.
It does seem like, you know, from the federal standpoint, unless your dam is in danger of collapsing and injuring people, there's not a whole lot of money for repair. So I don't want to look. But hey, our strategy is to wait until our dam deteriorates to that point, and then we're going to go for money. No, I don't think so.
Well, it's number 1 on the list.
Yeah, so I mean, that's unfortunate. All right, let's move on to the rest of the agenda. The Protection Committee has been very active lately. I don't know if you want to.
I think we have an adjustment to Brian. Did you want to talk about dangerous buildings? Did you have an update?
We have that on the regular. I'm just looking at committee reports at this point. So the Protection Committee is looking at the EMS service, and that's, I guess to put it mildly, you run into a potential snag there, but still working through that. Anything you want to say about it?
I mean, there's nothing to report.
Yeah.
No.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
All right. All right, we'll move on to new business then. The first item is an update on code enforcement issues from Brian Lennox right here. Brian? In between responding to brush fires and bad out the like, or?
I got called off because we had CPI on progress, so I went in a different direction. So what we talked about happened. I'll let Nan stack. She's been kind of running with these projects, and I'll fill in where I need to.
Okay, the town has taken for taxes 1022 Bangor Road, which is just this side, the town side of Herb Edgerly's place. And there's a windmill on top of a shed beside the barn, and the roof is falling apart. And Brian was kind of afraid that the windmill could land in the road. So we might want to have Public Works knock, there's a little piece of shed on the side of a barn. Maybe knock the little piece of shed down that has the windmill on it, or knock the windmill off the top of the building, or however.
Yeah, that's really close to the road.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. The house and the barn are really close to the road. So I don't know who.
So windmills, what is any windmill dismantling request recently?
Is that in the road right away?
I would say it
Yeah,
is.
it's in the road.
Close to.
Right on the side of the road.
Right in the corner.
Yeah, I'd have to measure. It's gonna be close. I'm assuming that's 66. It might be 100 out there, but I mean, it could potentially cause a problem. I don't know if the windmill will actually land in the road, but it's close enough. That can land in the shoulder or a high wind. It should be addressed.
There's also a live power
Power
line
lines, yeah.
going to
On
the
that
house.
side,
It should be in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Maybe something we should talk to DOT about too, because it would be there right away and they might have jurisdiction or, ways to address it. I mean, cases of windmills at risk of falling in the right of way event. But I mean, that comes up just in the permitting process of windmills, because you need them set back from other people's property and other structures and so on. In that case, it was never set back far enough from the road.
That was probably put up in 1950, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Been there
If
since.
not earlier.
Yeah, been there since.
Right.
We'll look into, tilting at that particular one.
Um,
Other stuff?
yes, 127 Pleasant Street. We got notified that it's an abandoned property.
That's the one that we already had on our list.
Nope. It,
Go ahead. Go on, sorry.
it's a retaining wall. They have a retaining
Okay,
wall.
yeah.
It's on the left-hand side of the road, right across from 130 Pleasant
Okay,
Street.
all right.
And the retaining wall is going to collapse.
Yeah.
The lower part is gonna collapse into the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I went and took pictures of it today, but there was somebody there. There was a vehicle in the yard and there were lights on in the house. But we got notice that it's an abandoned building and the person that owns it has left. So I don't know who's in it. But, I've written to the mortgage company and said they need to take care of this. But
It's gonna be another standpoint of nobody's gonna care and not pay attention to the letters. So we'll bring it to your attention because it's gonna end up on the sidewalk, whether it's this winter or next spring, and I just don't wanna see somebody hurt or walking by. So we're just starting the process and telling you that we're gonna start the process of the 3 letters, and if no response or anything, it'll have to be under a dangerous building as well to get it taken care of or rectified or something before somebody gets hurt.
and my last one,
So the
Sorry.
building is all right, but the retaining wall. is
yes,
It's actually a really nice house.
Yeah.
It's just years ago, I'd say they built a retaining wall to make their lawn up, and it goes down the sidewalk and up the driveway, and I'm not concerned about the driveway. That's their piece, and I should measure because that retaining wall might be in the town right away. It's right against the sidewalk, so I should take a measurement with Jeff to see whose responsibility it actually is before we go too far, because it may be ours now that I think of it. Hopefully
Now
not,
that you're talking about it.
but I'll get with Jeff and we should measure it just to be safe. But it's gonna need to be addressed by somebody sometime soon.
Well,
it is within a foot or two of the sidewalk.
that location, of course, the water comes ripping right down there when it rains. I've had multiple people in town say, hey, I'm afraid in the next pretty bad saturating rain that might just blow out because you've got coming down in 2 directions. I can see that happening. It's in pretty rough shape.
I have pictures if anybody.
Where is it again? What?
Pleasant Street.
Oh, okay.
Ray and Cindy lived there before they moved to North Carolina.
Okay, yep.
And then,
So that didn't get addressed with the new sidewalk? It's on the other side.
Yeah, it's down towards the handy stop. It's across from the other house.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
We addressed probably 5 or 6 years ago, the retaining wall by the fire station. We addressed that.
Right.
big improvements there.
When I lived in that house.
It was a third, property also?
130 Grove Street, to go along with 130 Pleasant Street. I have written 4 letters to the woman who owns it. She's in Greenville. She did respond last month and called Brian instead of me. So Brian gave me her number and I called her and left her a message as she asked, and I've had 0 response. The front of the porch is falling off, or the whole porch is pulling off the house. The gentleman to the left of the house is the one that called me in July and complained about it. When I went to look at it, the guy on the right said he's been killing rats, running around a lot. It's not secure. The front porch is open. There's appearance of garbage on the porch. I didn't go up and look in. There's a vehicle in the yard. I did walk over by that to take pictures, and I don't know what's in that vehicle, but it reeks. It's just a horrible. So that's eventually going to be one that we're going to end up bringing to you, probably to take it down, because I'm getting 0 response.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's recoverable, building. I've seen that too. It looks
You
like
have
it's
seen
a
that.
fall down. And
Yes.
salt.
Yes.
So we've tried to reach them how many times?
4. I've done 4 separate letters. One of them was certified. And she called, left a message for Brian, and I called her back and left a message as she requested. If she didn't answer, just leave her a message. And there's been no response, and it's been 3 weeks,
Probably.
2 weeks anyway.
I say it's time to have Jonathan's office write a letter. It's just,
So
we're just
I know
kicking
this
down the road.
person, so we just want her to make contact and,
Well, we need, they need to take care of the buildings. It's worse than the other one we're trying to get torn down. It's completely abandoned and they're already shooting rats and they just, it looks, it's horrible.
The electricity's still on, there's lights on in there.
So,
And they've been on since July that I know of.
so honestly, I'd like to put a dangerous building order on it, but we gotta start with Jonathan.
Yeah.
Because nothing's getting done once again. And we've already cleaned up 2 buildings. Grange Street's gone and 70 Union's gone. So we gotta work on still demo on 130. But my scenario was 130 and this are about 150 feet apart.
Right.
So as much as I hate prolonging stuff, I think it'd be in the town's best interest to try to put both these houses together when it is time, and a contractor that bids can literally walk the machine during the winter. So, you know what I mean? I think you get a better bang for your buck if we are responsible for doing them, which at this rate, we all know nobody's cleaning up their own messes anymore or taking responsibility for them. So as much as we want 130 Pleasant Street gone, I'd like to wait and try to, if this one has to be demolished, just put them together.
That makes sense.
And the guy that did 11 Grange, and he also was hired by the people on Union Street that bought 70 Union. He did a spectacular job.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't even know there was a house. there.
No, and he also did Dwelly Avenue. I don't remember what number it was. There was a mobile home that was just collapsing.
Yeah.
And he took that out, and he's DEP certified, so he takes all the stuff to Hamden and separates it, handles all that.
They have their own, his site in Winterport is licensed for the DEP. So he said they can do the asbestos stuff themselves, or the town can do it, whatever. They're capable of doing it all. So it just depends on what direction the town wants to take, so.
Well, we'd like to move forward. I mean, I think,
Yes.
I feel good about, having Grange Street and Union Street both taken care of, and I've gotten positive feedback from the community. I mean, that,
Yeah.
to show that we see that there's a problem, that to actually do something about it and have it restored to a semblance of normalcy is a good thing.
Yeah, some of the neighborhoods are starting to clean up. The only fear I have in the future, people are gonna see that we're doing this and go, yeah, whatever, the town's gonna take care of it. And that's not what we wanna see, but we just can't keep letting these houses keep going and falling apart and creating rats and issues for the town and people around
It's
it.
human nature to let somebody else
Yeah,
do it.
well, people don't always have the resources to take.
correct.
which is why they're in the shape they are. to begin with.
So a question just about Union Street, what's gonna happen on that lot? Somebody.
It's sold, that's why the building's gone. The neighbors,
I know.
called us, they made an offer. The owner accepted the offer. I gave him a deadline to get rid of the house and it was gone in 2 weeks. So I'm like, perfect, thanks.
And then
They
they
were
were building
very
an addition
committed.
out to their house that was facing that.
Yeah, they were the neighbor up towards Summer Street.
Yeah.
So, and they, like I said, they hired the guy out of Winterport. They called the town and asked for it. They're very happy. So it was easy for us in the town and it's all been taken care of, so.
So is there someone living in 130 Grove Street?
No,
Just the
It's
power
empty.
so.
yeah, but the power's on, with lights on,
It's
or
like
a light
haunted
on.
house.
Someone's paying the bill.
Yeah,
Or not paying bill?
All right, so we're, do you need a motion from the board just to move forward and
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
Be on the record to move forward
Yeah,
with dangerous
please.
building.
to get Jonathan's office to start the process on that one.
all right, well, so we'll move forward with enforcement actions against all three properties, 1022 Bangor Road, 127 Pleasant Street, 130 Grove Street. Okay?
Bangor wrote the town home, so you're gonna put an enforcement on yourself.
Right. Happy to do that.
You guys took it.
I need to be kept in line.
No.
I need to be kept in line anyway, so the enforcement measures will be welcome. Right. All right, so Joel, why don't you Joel makes the motion to pursue that?
Yes.
action? Okay, and Emery seconds. And I assume we're all in favor of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I,
It's the only frustrating thing about this, you got a couple done and then it's.
Yeah,
A couple more this year.
yeah, they won't go away, I don't
Right.
think.
may I ask, do we have an update on the 262 building? Because I still get asked about that. I'm assuming insurance is a thing they're trying to sort out or whatnot.
Probably 3 months ago, TJ was there and cleaned the restaurant. I believe they found a couple items that we had been missing since that night. And I haven't seen anybody back and we haven't heard, so I honestly don't know what the future holds for that place.
And was it 52 Drully that burned down recently?
Yeah, Misty Lang's house on the corner of Dwelling and Paul, that's gonna pose an issue for us as well. Nobody's called and complained, but it's gonna happen because the homeowner does not have the capabilities of demolishing that house, so Cherry Street, I gave Cherry Street and 367 East Dover a year to clean it up just because of the fire. It's a loss. It's hard for people to bounce back from that. So unfortunately, I'll give her the winter and the spring to see how she does, but we're gonna end up coming back and addressing that next summer. So,
we have had someone come into the office and I've passed this person's name and number on to the owner because they're interested in that building or in that
good.
lot.
Yeah, it's a nice lot.
But yeah, I've seen the person whose number who's interested and she has not been contacted by the owner yet. But I did tell the owner that this person was interested in.
The fires are tough. I mean, it takes time. Insurance takes time for people dealing with them, and
There's no
we get it.
insurance
We
on
just
that.
want to make sure we stay on top of what we can. So,
Brian,
no,
that's
there's no insurance.
on dwelling, the porch roof is hanging straight down and it's metal. Is that in danger of blowing away or moving?
It shouldn't be. It's
I
been
just-
there since August, whenever the fire was, July, August, and it hasn't moved.
Right.
If it does, I don't know how to find her, that's the problem. I don't know where she's staying, I don't know if she has a cell phone, I may be able to make some calls to figure out where she is, but I honestly don't know where she went. So, but if it poses a problem, then I believe Jonathan states if it poses an immediate danger to the public, a health or a hazard, that the town has rights to intervene like immediately. So if it is something that's gonna be in danger immediately to the public, then we could probably take action and fix it or whatever. But
Well, that's like the sidewalk on Pleasant Street. If that's an immediate danger, we can go in and take that down and then there's no repercussion that we shouldn't
yeah,
have
and
been
we can
there.
verify that with Jonathan, but if there's something immediate danger to the public, then I believe the town has the authorization to take action.
We saw a retaining wall in Brownville have a no good result, so we need to be, well, it takes an 8-year-old
Yes.
riding his bike.
Mhm.
Or climb on it. I think it's a jumbo jet, for the kids do. Yeah.
All right, anything else? It's enough, I guess.
Not for this one. No, this one's not right now. Okay.
Until the speaker goes off.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on
Thank
to,
you.
let's move on to the 2025 second quarter sewer billing. You have that document in front of you. You need a motion to approve that.
Move to approve the second quarter sewer.
Cindy is motion, and James is seconded. All those in favor? We also have the MRC annual ballot with the background information on candidates for that. We have one vote. I know Karen from City of Brewer and from Aaron from City of Bangor have both been very involved in MRC solid waste disposal.
Take on that, Chuck. You know, I read the bios and thought, well, these people have been with this thing since the beginning, and is there a reason to keep them?
Exactly.
I mean, Karen Purcell has been, a member of the MRC for many years, and when we, made the big transition away from clerk, she was the person here doing the presentation. So there's a lot of institutional knowledge, that she has, for that committee. Paul Scott, town manager of Camden, that's the, host community of the site, that's being brought back up online, so, you know, that's a valuable perspective, to bring to the board. So, I mean, I don't know, these other individuals really, well enough to comment, but, I guess that's my take on those two candidates.
The guy from Blue Face went on there a while too, hasn't he? No, I'm not, it's just, we pick one person from all of these, it's kind of unfortunate. Well, so I think I'm just gonna move that we nominate Karen or vote for Karen.
Is there a second for it? Karen Fussell, Finance Director, City of Brewer.
See the first page? Yeah, okay. Check mark.
Heavily involved in
I had a
that.
check mark next to him. I had a check
And
mark.
a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. The move and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the nominee?
Yep.
That's a vote. Jack, would you be kind enough to fill out the ballot and send it in on our behalf? Appreciate that. And Jack, you're our manager before.
Just a few things. We finally have a date and a location for the main, Department of Transportation's outreach meeting on the Essex Street Bridge project, not to be confused with Lincoln Street, which we've had many meetings on, but Essex Street is the big, the main bridge project that, we expect to see get underway, later next year in 2025. This is, a meeting where they will be here and answer questions that people have about the project as best they can. That'll be Wednesday, December 4th, 6 p.m. right here in this room. So we're getting the word out on our website and social media, and they'll also go through their public notification processes. And you'll also recall that they do these virtual presentations, on their website. And sometimes that's all they do. They put a PowerPoint up. They did it for like the Route 7 East Main Street intersection widening project. And so they're still going to do that. So it's still going to be a online component to their public input, or in public comment, but they're also, this was a special request that they do the in-person component too, because they don't typically do these unless we ask for them. We've been asking repeatedly for it. So that'll be Wednesday, December 4th, 6 p.m. right here. The second public meeting on the Villages Partnership Initiative was, last Tuesday. And it was very detailed in terms of the information that has gone into the concept, and all of the comments that they received in the first meeting back in March was incorporated into the concept, and really got into, every detail you can think of in terms of, just intersection, efficiency, safety, crosswalks, bump outs, around the crosswalks for safety, managing parking spaces, managing, gateway treatments, as you drive into the downtown area, and aesthetics. And so that is all going to move ahead toward, basically finishing up the concept phase and then moving into a design phase if we want to continue this process with MDOT. There'd basically be a new phase, a new contract that they would present us with, where we would be basically requesting that they move into the design phase. And that would take much of 2025, but it would also set us up to see, I think in late 2025, an application gets submitted, or early 2026, an application gets submitted for actually funding the construction. But it's all based on getting a detailed design of what it is we want to have funded.
They expect to have the draft report to us by end of December, I believe, or early January. So Dan and I were both at the meeting, very interesting, incredibly comprehensive, and lots of details.
And Jared from MDOT seemed very optimistic that we will have good chances of being funded.
We're the type of community that they want to fund, being a service center, rural part of the state. They really want to see projects like that happen in towns like Dover-Foxcroft.
In excess of $20 million if we do everything that's on their laundry list, then that would require a 10% local match, which we could finance over multiple years with a low or no interest loan, I guess, from the feds. So, I mean, it's a real opportunity. Think of all the stuff that we complain about. Well, you can't see the traffic coming down North Street when you're trying to get off somewhere out the north. And Monument Square, you can't walk across that without getting run over by a logging truck, and on and on and on. All that stuff has been looked at.
And then there was a component for Foxcroft Academy as
Right.
well.
Yes.
We can
New
extract
entrance
it.
to the academy.
Safety with vehicles and pedestrians getting in and out of the campus. It's just very comprehensive.
I've seen, do you have copies of that slideshow that you did, or?
It's on the website.
It's on the website. Okay, so if you want, check it out. It really is. It's lots of detail. Lots of detail. I thought it was, and the nice thing about it is the landscape architect who has done all this work is Seth Kimball, who graduated from Foxcroft Academy in 1998. His father was a soccer coach there, Bill. You might remember him, and but he's really he's taken personal ownership of this thing, and he's done a fantastic job. So I have to compliment it.
We're almost finished with our sidewalk project this fall on Pleasant Street. You probably noticed the work that they're doing, and replacing what was basically a paved dip, so to speak, with a grass median, and new curbing that will actually bring the water to the basin and not just send it all the way down in front of the fire station, but manage the water better, and got a little bit more width on the sidewalk, because actually the sod had grown in on one side. It's kind of reclaimed the full width of the sidewalk. So I think it's coming out really nice, and that'll be done this week.
Do they have any expertise in the retaining wall reconstruction since they're in the neighborhood?
Yeah, well, they might, because they do a lot of different things.
It'll be interesting while they're here, just have them go down to the end of the street and take a look at that other property we talked about earlier and see, is this a big deal? Or?
I believe the actual name of the company is Hopkins Landscaping and Paving.
Aha.
So they are.
And retaining wall?
Retaining walls are our specialty.
Yeah.
Well, and if Brian ascertains that it's really in the public or
I'll measure tomorrow with Jeff and see what we come up with.
Yeah, that's gonna have an idea of how much that would cost. I know the other retaining wall that they replaced with those, blocks that,
Well, Public Works has all kinds of experience. You just put one in the fire
Yeah.
station. They did a great
Right.
job. And that was, if I can afford it, it was pretty reasonable. So, I give them credit. They did a really nice job with it, so.
I'm sure they'd be really good at paving over manhole covers, you know.
That's right.
I'll be hitting them up to the two that you mentioned.
outside out of mine.
I wanted just to mention, I mean, I don't know if Brian has an update, but our heavy rescue's been out of service and kind of being looked at for, you know, what we need to do to it to bring it back, and I don't know if they've gotten through what they're looking at.
All I know at this point, it's gone to Fort Kent after the big body shop because the overloads on the spring hangers broke off. Went to Bangor to see what they could do to fix it. Could not be fixed in Bangor because of the frame was in such disrepair in that area. So we shipped it to Fort Kent. And it's gonna need a major frame repair, and they can guarantee us they will get it fixed. January 1st, hopefully I'll have it back. I'm not sure on an end number, but it's cheaper than buying another truck.
Cheaper than the tanker truck replacement?
Yeah. To get it fixed, we had to buy another truck now. So just, but it's in a good company. Those guys know what they're doing up there. So,
It's Pierce, right? It's Pierce.
yeah, Allegiance owns the Fort Kent shop, which they do a lot of big truck manufacturing, a lot of trucks and extended frames and tractor trailers, and that's where it needed to go. So that's where it is for the time being.
So where does that put us with emergency and rescue? Are we,
So we restructured a couple of the trucks to have some of the equipment on. I can't put a lot of the equipment's in storage out back, but I do have other departments, what we call placed into our response plans, and if certain calls come in, they're automatically dispatched with us for their rescue equipment, until we can get that stuff back. It's just too much equipment to spread out over our trucks. We don't have the room. So.
I had an opportunity to speak at the Maine Downtown Conference, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. They're all interested in the work that we've been doing with, the warming and cooling, emergency planning, and kind of getting the community and volunteers engaged in, you know, making that work. So, it was good to be able to talk about, you know, how much engagement is going on in the community along those lines, because there's a lot of other communities that want to do that same thing. And people are reaching out to us saying, hey, can we take a look at your warming and cooling, you know, plan and reports and so forth? Because, you know, it's, something that a lot of other communities recognize as valuable.
Well, hopefully they have some wonderful volunteers like you have.
It's the key piece to really making it work. And I think everybody might know, but the Scottsbluff County Economic Development Council's annual meeting, is Thursday, December 12th. Typically, board members, if they're available, go to the annual meeting. They meet quarterly. The annual is probably a little bit bigger event. If anybody wants to get signed up for that, and just, if you're not already, you can just let me know, or I'll see them know and get you signed up.
I understand one of our people sitting at the table was
Yeah,
receiving the prestigious
part two to that?
award that evening, so.
I missed the meeting and then, you know. No, but I appreciate that recognition, certainly.
Well, you know, I've been asked to say some kind words about working about what I can say.
How much humor.
How much humor I want to put into, do I want to play it straight or do I want to be myself? Yeah.
So many different hats.
Really, I know it's just difficult. But I look forward to that. Exactly. Very, very much deserving it. That's the end of your report. You were kind enough to send us the voter statistics from the most recent presidential election, too, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, my calculator, I was an English literature major, not a math major, but I think our voter turnout at the last election was like 86%, which is unbelievable.
It was amazing.
Unbelievable. And we've always had, decent turnout for presidential elections, but this one, I don't think we're gonna get any higher than that, other than unless you make voting mandatory punishment by, staff if you know about.
And Julie, you might want to, talk about this too, but we had an incredible number of people that registered to vote like the day
On
of.
the day, yeah.
Just, and the days leading up, it was just an incredible amount of new voters enrolling, as much engagement as you could possibly have, it seems like, for that last election.
People new to town or just hadn't been in the habit of voting before, or who knows?
Yeah, a little both.
Yeah.
We ran out of voter registration cards. We had to make copies. And then the election.
Well, that's a good problem now.
Yeah.
It's interesting how many people leave their ballots blank. A
Yeah.
lot of blanks.
Right.
Intrigued by that.
They only vote, they'll go to vote maybe just strictly on the presidential election and don't. do
Or
anything else.
some particular other,
Yeah.
yeah, I was looking for my copy, but that's been true across. Was looking at the Greenville numbers earlier today, and a lot of blanks ballots.
Everybody's a little bit different. All right, moving on to, open session for closing remarks. Does anybody in the audience have any final thoughts they want to share with us? Does anybody on the board have any final thoughts? I'd be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn. Tracy, I'll give you the second. And I think we're all in favor of that, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. So, we're done, decent time.
Thank you, folks.
Oh, make it easy.